The stars above the Galactic Council chamber twinkled quietly, as if the universe itself was holding its breath. The war that many feared had been stopped, not by force, but by the power of peace and trust. The council leaders gathered again. This time their faces were not filled with anger or fear, but with a new understanding. Councillor Vorn sat quietly. The fire in his eyes had cooled. Myrrh spoke first. "The galaxy is changing," she said. "Not because of battles or threats, but because someone showed us another way." They all looked toward the message from Earth, the message that had stopped the war. On Earth, Rhea Sola stood on the balcony of the embassy. Below her, the city buzzed with life, but her mind was on the stars. Her communicator beeped softly. A message from the Harmonic Accord leaders flashed on the screen. "We are ready. The galaxy is ready. Let us build a future together." She smiled. The hard work had just begun. The Harmonic Accord grew fast. More systems joined every week, bringing their cultures, their ideas, and their hopes. But this was not a union of power. It was a union of respect. Every planet had a voice, every species mattered. They built schools, hospitals, and trade routes. They shared knowledge of science, medicine, and art. Old enemies sat side by side in council halls. Differences were discussed, not fought over. The Galactic Council did not disappear. It changed. Leaders from many worlds came forward to work with the Accord. Together, they formed a new governing body, the Galactic Harmony Council. Earth's role was not to rule but to guide, to remind everyone that peace was stronger than weapons. Rhea Solis was chosen as the first Harmony ambassador. She accepted the role with quiet pride. One day, Rhea visited a small moon in the outer systems. The moon was rough and cold, but the people there greeted her with warmth. A child handed her a drawing, a simple picture of stars, planets, and many hands joined in friendship. "This is your future," the child said softly. "Not just for Earth, but for all of us." Rhea looked at the drawing and felt hope like never before. In the new Galactic Harmony Council chambers, Rhea spoke to representatives from hundreds of worlds. "We were once afraid to act," she said. "We waited for orders. We watched threats grow. But Earth showed us that courage is not about fighting. It is about standing firm in what is right. We can build a future where no one lives in fear, where all voices are heard, where every life matters." The chamber erupted in applause. Back on Earth, the planet itself seemed to smile. New technologies blossomed, inspired by the shared knowledge of the Accord. Clean energy-powered cities, medicine-cured diseases once thought incurable. Humans and aliens worked together in peace. But Rhea never forgot the hard lessons. She knew peace was fragile. That darkness would always try to return. So she prepared the galaxy, not just with ships and shields, but with trust, unity, and understanding. Years passed, and the galaxy grew stronger. The Harmonic Accord became a beacon of hope. And Earth? Earth had stepped forward, not to rule the stars, but to protect them. To remind all beings that even in the darkest times, the light of hope can shine brighter than any weapon. The galaxy had stepped away from war and fear. A new dawn had arrived. The Varkari swarm had sent one of their biggest strike forces to Earth. Thousands of drop pods filled with soldiers, crawlers, and attack beasts fell from the sky. The world watched in fear, but Earth did not fall. Instead, something strange happened. As the swarm entered Earth's skies, their signals were blocked. Varkari soldiers could not hear their queen. Orders were lost. The hive-mind connection broke apart. Each soldier became alone, confused and slow. In orbit, the main swarm ship floated above Earth. From there, Hive Commander Zelvox tried to reconnect with his troops. He sent out signals, pulses, even emergency hive codes. Nothing worked. "Earth is jamming us," he said to his second-in-command. "That is not possible," the other replied. "This species had no space power." "They do now," Zelvox said. Far below, humans were not hiding. They were waiting. In every major country, defense groups had formed. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, and even farmers worked together. They had studied the first probes. They had learned fast. And now they had built defenses, not just tanks and jets, but something more. MP towers had been built in hidden locations. These towers released energy waves that shut down swarm tech. Hive communication signals were blocked the moment the Varkari entered the atmosphere. Their minds were cut off. Their orders lost. Human drones flew through the sky. They were small, fast, and carried strange weapons. Some released smoke that confused the Varkari. Some dropped sound bombs that made their heads spin. Others delivered electric shocks that disabled their legs. In the forests of Canada, a Varkari group was ambushed by a team of 10 humans. Humans used silent weapons and moved through trees like shadows. They struck from above, below, and the sides. The Varkari never even saw them coming. In the deserts of Africa, humans used the heat against the swarm. They lured Varkari soldiers into wide, open spaces, then triggered sun mirrors to focus solar beams. The heat cracked their armor. In the mountains of Asia, an old satellite dish had been turned into a signal bender. It twisted the hive frequency and sent it back, making Varkari soldiers fight each other by mistake. Everywhere, the swarm was losing, and the humans were winning with style. The Varkari had expected fear. What they found was laughter. Some humans recorded their battles and shared them online. Soldiers cheered when a plan worked. Children hacked old devices to make them fight swarm bugs. Scientists competed to find faster ways to melt Varkari armor. This was not just war. This was sport, and Earth was good at it. Back on the Varkari ship, Commander Zelvox watched the reports. One screen showed a Varkari soldier crushed by a falling tower. Another showed a group stuck in a swamp, unable to move. This cannot be real, he whispered. They are just animals. No, the second in command said. They are something else. Then came the final blow. In South America, a swarm hive pod had survived the landing. It began to build a command nest in the jungle. The queen believed this would help her regain control. The hive mind would grow again, but the humans found it. They didn't attack with bombs or fire. They sent in a team of scientists. The team hacked into the hive pod's core. They used Varkari code they had learned from the first probe. Within minutes, they took control of the pod. Not only that, they sent a signal back to the Queen's ship. A simple message. "This is fun," the Queen screamed inside the minds of her ship. The Varkari around her felt her rage, but they also felt something else in her voice. Worry, she tried, to send orders again. Tried to guide the swarm, but Earth was no longer under her control. Humans were using her own hive signals to create false orders. Some Varkari were now walking in circles, others shut down completely. "Should we call back the swarm?" her advisors asked. "No," she replied. "They will adapt, they must." But deep inside, the Queen knew the truth. Humans adapted faster. Every hour, Earth changed. Every mistake the humans made, they learned from. Every weapon that failed, they fixed. Every attack by the swarm was met with a smarter counterattack. And, worse, humans had emotion. They fought not just with logic, but with anger, courage, and joy. The Queen had never faced anything like that. In one area, a group of teenagers used old radios to block a Varkari signal and save their town. In another, a disabled engineer built a remote turret using broken machine parts and stopped an entire swarm group from reaching a hospital. These were not trained warriors, they were just people. Yet they stood like giants. And so by the end of the second day, the Varkari invasion had failed in all major zones. Commander Zelvox looked out from his ship at the blue planet below. His legs trembled. "We thought they were prey," he said. "We were wrong," his second whispered. "They are something else." Zelvox nodded slowly. "They are problem solvers." The Varkari swarm had never lost a war. They were strong, fast, and smart. They believed no species could fight them. But Earth was different. Earth was fighting back, not just with guns, but with brains. Commander Zelvox had never seen such things. His soldiers were trained to destroy and move forward. But on Earth they were being pushed back. Something even worse had happened. The swarm was afraid. In many places on Earth, humans had become the hunters. They tracked the Varkari soldiers, studied their moves, and built traps that worked perfectly. The Varkari were no longer in control. They were running, hiding, even trying to dig underground to escape. In the jungles of Southeast Asia, a small group of human scouts set up camp near a Varkari crash site. The crash site was quiet, no movement, but the humans knew better. "Thermal camera shows 3 heat spots," whispered Elena, the team leader. "They're hiding under the wreck." "Same move as yesterday," said Marco, loading a sticky EMP grenade. "They don't change much, do they?" "Nope," Elena replied. "Let's show them how humans hunt." The team moved in quickly. 1 flash grenade, 2 shots from a shock rifle, a loud click from the EMP. By the time the Varkari tried to react, it was already over. "Too easy," Marco said, smiling. But humans didn't just win with weapons. They won with knowledge. In high-tech labs across the planet, scientists and engineers were taking apart swarm tech. Varkari weapons, armor, and machines were studied day and night. Their hive signals were decoded. Weak points were found. Even school students helped. One young girl in India created a phone app that could detect Varkari energy signals. Farmers in Brazil built a defense net using old car batteries and fence wire. A retired mechanic in Russia turned a broken motorcycle into a fast-moving drone with sharp blades. Humanity had no central queen, no shared mind, but it had something better. Billions of creative people. Each person thought differently. Each person solved problems in their own way. Some built weapons. Some built shields. Some hacked signals. Others spread information. Together, they became a storm the Varkari could not stop. In one desert area, a Varkari group tried to take over a human supply base. They were met by only 5 humans. The Varkari laughed and charged. Then the ground exploded. The humans had built fake roads and paths that were wired with shock mines. The Varkari armor was strong, but the humans had learned how to aim under the plates where the joints moved. After the smoke cleared, the 5 humans stood. The Varkari did not. The few swarm soldiers who survived escaped into nearby caves. But inside those caves were sound cannons, devices that sent out deep shaking sounds. The Varkari hated those sounds. They became confused and weak. Some even passed out. Later, those same caves were cleaned and turned into human research centers. Commander Zelvox watched from his ship, feeling more nervous each hour. "This is not war," he told the Queen through a private link. "It is collapse." The Queen's voice came slow and cold. "Fix it." "I cannot," he replied. "We are being studied. Our own tech is being used against us. These humans, they are not prey." For a moment, there was silence. Then, the Queen asked, "What do they want?" "They want us gone," he said, "but they are not angry or scared. They are curious. They want to know how we work. They want to break us down. They want to learn everything." "And then?" she asked. "They will make it better," he whispered. "They already are." All across Earth, swarm tech was being copied and upgraded. Human drones were now faster than Varkari ones. Human signals were stronger. Human weapons were smarter. And the worst part? Humans shared everything. They posted their upgrades online. They sent free files to other countries. They taught others how to build, fix, and fight. There were no secrets. Just speed, teamwork, and action. In one part of the United States, a group of kids created a simple tool that tracked Varkari movements using weather balloons and old cameras. Within a day, their idea was copied and used in 10 other countries. The Queen had never seen a species move so fast. She tried to send more troops to Earth, but the Earth's orbit was now dangerous. The humans had built defense rings using captured swarm parts. These rings fired powerful energy blasts that could stop any ship entering the sky. The swarm was now trapped on Earth and hunted. The Queen gave a strange order. All swarm soldiers must go silent, hide, survive. But it was already too late. And you. The forest of Canada, A lone Varkari soldier tried to follow that command. He had lost his unit. His weapons were gone. He crawled into a deep cave and shut down his outside sensors. But a human drone found him anyway. It didn't kill him. It sprayed him with foam that froze his body in place. Then humans came and took him, not to destroy but to study. "We got another one," said a scientist. "Same weak points, same brain node. They never change." "They don't know how," said another. "That's why they'll lose." Back in space, the Varkari queen looked at the blue planet with dark eyes. This small world, this Earth, had done what no other could. They had made the Varkari feel fear. They had turned predators into prey. And they had done it with tools, teamwork, and wild ideas. For the first time in her long life, the queen understood. The galaxy had a new apex species. Earth was no longer defending. Now, Earth was attacking. The humans had studied the Varkari for weeks. They had learned how their ships flew, how their armor worked, how their hive mind connected. And now, they were ready to do something no species had ever done before. Take the fight to the swarm. In a secret base hidden under the Arctic ice, leaders from many countries met. Soldiers, scientists, engineers, and thinkers gathered around a glowing map of the stars. "We know where the swarm's homeworld is," said Dr. Meena Patel, a scientist from India. "We cracked the hive coordinates." "How?" asked a general. "From France." "We made their tech smarter," she replied with a smile. "It told us everything." The humans had hacked the Varkari hive signals and tracked the Queen's energy signature. The Queen's planet, known as Nithar 7, was now marked. Clearly, Commander Ross from the United States leaned forward. "If we strike there, we end the war. But we must be careful," warned Dr. Ling from China. "Their world is dangerous, full of storm energy, lava, and swarm towers." "Perfect," Ross replied. "We've fought worse on Earth, so..." Earth began to build something new. They called it Project Reversal. In only 2 weeks, humans created their first interstellar battle fleet. Ships were built using a mix of human metal and swarm biotech. They were fast, sharp, and powered by hybrid engines, half electric, half organic. Each ship carried a team of special fighters, engineers, coders, hackers, and soldiers. They called themselves the Apex Team. They were not the biggest army in the galaxy, but they were the smartest. And they had a simple mission: find the Queen, stop the hive, protect Earth. When the ships left Earth's orbit, the world watched in silence. Across cities and villages, people stood together under the stars. Children pointed at the sky, old men whispered prayers, and deep inside everyone believed. The human fleet moved fast through space. They dodged old mines, passed dead moons, and broke through nebula storms. Their new tech was powerful, but Nithar 7 was worse than expected. The planet was dark and burning. Storm clouds moved like living creatures. The ground glowed with lava rivers, and tall hive towers covered the surface, sending energy to the Queen's main mind. "This is it," said Elena, now captain of the Apex Team. No turning back. The human ships landed with stealth tech. They dropped units in different parts of the planet. One team cut the hive signal from the North Tower. Another took down the power grid with an energy worm. In the south, a group of hackers found a swarm data pool, a strange, glowing lake filled with hive memories. "It's like a brain," said hacker Leo. "Let's plug in." He connected a swarm cable into a human laptop. Data flew in fast. Images, sounds, hive patterns. Leo smiled. "I found the Queen's nest." On the other side of the planet, the Queen felt it. She screamed inside the swarm mind. "They are here!" For the first time, the Varkari Queen was under attack on her own world. Her soldiers rushed to defend her. Her towers fired skybeams, but nothing worked like before. The humans had learned too much. They dropped EMP bombs that turned towers to dust. They used light-reflecting suits to hide from swarm eyes. They even used captured swarm soldiers who had been reprogrammed to lead humans through the tunnels. One human group reached the Queen's chamber. It was a huge, dark room. Hive walls pulsed with green light. The queen sat in the center, a massive being, with a sharp crown, long legs, and glowing eyes. "You dare." "Come here," she hissed. "Yes," said Elena, "and we're not leaving." The queen screamed and called her guards, but they didn't arrive. Human hackers had cut the signal again. The queen charged. She was faster than any Varkari. Her claws moved like lightning. But the humans had one last plan. They pulled out the core, Disruptor, a device built using swarm tech and human code. It sent a deep pulse into the hive. Not to destroy, but to change. The pulse hit the hive mind. All around the planet, swarm soldiers froze. Their connection broke. Their thoughts became silent. And then something happened. For the first time in swarm history, the Varkari soldiers began to think alone. Some looked at the queen with confusion. Others dropped their weapons. A few even turned and walked away. "Duan," Queen screamed in anger. "They were mine." "No," said Elena, "not anymore." With one final blast from the disruptor, the queen's mind link was broken. Her power fell like a tower in a storm. She collapsed, silent. The Varkari were free, and the war was over. The Apex team returned to Earth as heroes. The swarm ships were empty now. Their soldiers walked in peace or stayed silent. Humanity didn't destroy the Varkari. They changed them, taught them choice, taught them freedom. It was not a victory of death. It was a victory of ideas. The queen of the Varkari hive was gone. The hive mind, once so strong, was silent. All across the galaxy, swarm soldiers stopped moving. On empty moons, deep caves, ruined worlds, they stood still, unsure what to do. For the first time in their lives, they had no orders. No voice in their heads. No mission. They were free. But they did not understand what freedom meant. On Earth, the news spread fast. The humans had won. They had not only stopped the invasion, they had changed the entire enemy. No one cheered loudly. No fireworks lit the sky. The victory was big, but the moment was quiet. Because something new had started. Peace. But peace with the swarm would not be easy. In the days after the Queen's fall, human leaders met again. This time, it was not about war plans. It was about choices. "What do we do with the swarm?" asked General Ross. "They're just standing there. Some of them are starving." "Some are helping us," said Dr. Ling. "We've seen them fix machines, carry food, and build walls. They don't know what to do," said Elena. "They followed orders all their lives, now they're lost." And she was right. In the forests of South America, a group of Varkari helped rebuild a village they had once attacked. They worked quietly, with no hive connection. A child gave one of them a piece of fruit. The Varkari soldier looked at it, unsure what to do. Then he copied the child and ate it. He smiled. In Europe, a group of scientists studied a Varkari medic. They discovered that swarm soldiers could learn new skills. Within days, the medic was helping in a human hospital, repairing broken machines with speed and care. In Africa, a team of engineers taught a swarm unit how to plant crops. The unit watched closely, repeated the steps, and then began helping the farmers. They moved faster than any human, they never got tired, and they never complained. But not everyone trusted them. "They're still dangerous," some said. "They're not like us. They don't feel like we do. They will turn on us again." But others said, "They are learning, just like we did once." The leaders formed a new group, the Unity Council. It included humans and Varkari, working together to build peace, teach new things, and fix the damage from the war. It wasn't easy. Sometimes the Varkari didn't understand words. They used signals and movement instead. Sometimes they broke machines by mistake. Sometimes they walked away without saying anything, because silence was their comfort. But humans kept teaching, and Varkari kept learning. One day, a Varkari named Tizel, once a hunter, stood in front of a class of human children. He spoke slowly using a voice device. "I was a predator," he said, But I was not allowed to think. Now I think, I feel, I wonder. A child raised her hand. Do you like Earth? Zell paused. Yes, he said. Because here, I am allowed to be me. The room was quiet for a moment. Then someone clapped, then another. Soon the whole room was filled with happy noise. It was a new beginning. Across space, other species had watched the war with fear. Many had stayed silent, hiding from the Varkari. But now they came forward. Small ships arrived at Earth. Some from water worlds, some from icy stars. They wanted to meet the humans who had stopped the swarm, and the humans welcomed them. They shared food, knowledge, and stories. They shared laughter. The humans did not act like rulers. They did not demand control. They offered something stronger. Friendship. Some Varkari could not handle the change. A few tried to restart the old hive. They failed. Others chose to leave, flying away in quiet ships, seeking places where they could be alone, but most stayed. They joined schools, factories, farms, and cities. They became part of Earth's story. Slowly they stopped being the swarm. They became something new. One Varkari wrote a book. Its name was simple, After the Queen. It was the first time a swarm being had written a story alone. The book became popular. It was not about war. It was about learning to feel the sun on your skin. It was about hearing music for the first time. It was about dreaming. Meanwhile, Earth's technology changed faster than ever. Swarm engines, hive codes, and bioarmor were now part of human design. Space travel became easier. New colonies began on nearby planets. But this time, there were rules. No more taking, no more destroying. Humans had learned something too. Power was not about weapons. It was about wisdom, about helping others grow. Years passed. The children who once watched the sky during the war were now leaders. Some of them worked side by side with Varkari friends. Others explored new worlds, but they never forgot what happened. They remembered that Earth, once thought weak, had stood strong, that humans, once hunted, became teachers, and that even the fiercest enemy could learn to change. Years had passed since the Great War between the humans and the Varkari swarm. Earth had changed, the stars had changed, and the galaxy was no longer the same. Humans and Varkari walked side by side now. They worked together in cities, farms, spaceports, and research labs. The swarm soldiers who once hunted without mercy had learned kindness and curiosity. It was not perfect. There were still challenges. Old fears did not disappear overnight. But the future was bright. On Earth, a great ceremony was held. Leaders from many planets came to celebrate peace. Among the guests were former Varkari soldiers, scientists, and diplomats. The air was full of hope and excitement. Elena, now a respected ambassador between humans and the Varkari, stood on the stage. She looked out at the crowd and smiled. "We have learned a great lesson," she said, "that even the fiercest predator can change, that power without wisdom is empty, that together we can build a future no one dreamed possible." The crowd cheered. Far above the ceremony, satellites and space stations watched quietly. They were the silent guardians of this new era. But the galaxy still had mysteries. Beyond the known stars, strange signals were rising. Signals unlike anything humans or Varkari had seen before. Dr. Meena Patel studied the signals carefully. "These are old signals," she told the Unity Council, "from a time before us, from a race we have never met." "What do they want?" asked General Ross. "We don't know yet," Meena answered. "But they are calling out. Waiting." The Unity Council agreed. A new mission was needed. A team of humans and Varkari prepared for the journey beyond known space. They called themselves the Seekers. Their goal was simple and clear: to explore the unknown and learn the truth about the galaxy's past. Among the Seekers was Tsel, the Varkari who had learned to speak and feel. He carried a small book, the one he wrote, After the Queen. Elena was the captain. Mina the scientist, Leo the hacker, and many others, each with skills and dreams. Their ship was a symbol of unity, built from Earth's metal and swarm technology. It was fast, strong, and smart. As they left Earth's orbit, people watched with hope. "What will we find?" a child asked her mother. "Something new," her mother replied. "Something beautiful." The seekers traveled through deep space, following the strange signals. They passed bright stars, dark nebulae, and forgotten planets. Every day was an adventure. One night they found a small world. It was quiet and empty, but on its surface were ancient ruins, tall towers covered in strange writing. The team explored carefully. Mina studied the writing. "This language is old, but it talks about peace and knowledge, about a great civilization that once connected the stars." Suddenly, the ship's sensors detected movement. Strange creatures appeared, neither human nor Varkari. They looked curious, not hostile. Zell stepped forward. "We come as friends." The creatures responded with light signals and sounds. A new language began to form. For days, the seekers learned and taught. They shared stories, music, and ideas. The new beings told of their own history, how they once helped many species grow before disappearing. The seekers understood something important. The galaxy had always been connected by hope and learning. It was a cycle, a chain, a story of life. Back on Earth, the news of the seekers' discovery inspired everyone. It reminded them of their journey, from fear and war to peace and friendship. The Varkari Queen's fall was no longer the end. It was the beginning. Years later, as Elena watched the stars from her home, she felt a quiet peace. She thought of the humans who fought and the Varkari who learned. She thought of the children who would grow up in a galaxy full of wonder. And she knew this truth. The strongest force in the universe is not power or fear. It is the courage to change.